Welcome to Father and Son, and welcome to you, Tom.
Morning, Dad.
Cold morning. Well, the Federal Parliament sits for the first time today, and I see the Age is writing up that the Greens are going to have a significant role in the committee she's forming to review, what's going to happen in the carbon area.
Yeah, with climate change. Well, it's very interesting this because, of course, we're going into areas that before the election we were told there would be no new climate change or carbon tax policy until after 2013. Exactly. And yet somehow promises that were made pre this election suddenly don't have any great meaning. And, of course, Labor's criticising Tony Abbott for having broken his deal on pairing of the Speaker and a potential Deputy Speaker. But with climate change, look, I think it's interesting. They're forming a committee. They've got Green members on it. They had a picture of Bob Brown and Christine Milne and Combay and
Prime Minister
and Wayne Swan. And they've actually said to the Liberal Party, well, you could nominate one or two people. But the Libs have said, well, we don't believe that the committee's terms of reference are true. We don't believe in the carbon tax. And so Labor has said, well, only people who believe in the carbon tax can be on the carbon tax committee, which sort of says, well, we're sort of trying to pre-guarantee the result, the committee's findings.
It's a waste of time.
Well, imagine if you had a jury and they said, this person's obviously guilty, we're only going to allow you to be on the jury if you believe in his or her guilt. I mean, that would never be allowed in the legal system.
No, of course not. This is just a farce. I mean, she made a very bad error during the election by nominating this great big committee.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if that's ever going to come to pass.
Oh, the People's Assembly. No, that's not going ahead.
No, she can.
No, the People's Assembly is, of course, the federal parliament. That's where our representatives meet. But look, I think more importantly than the makeup of the committee or whatever, the reality is a carbon tax is coming our way. It's already been, as I understand it, decided that any tax will apply only to the electricity generating industry, which is, of course, largely powered by coal in this country. And what that means...
Well, that means everybody's going to pay because electricity is a vital cost in nearly everything that's done.
Yeah, businesses, households, depending on the price of carbon, if it's only $40 a tonne, which is what Labor's saying, your household power bill could go up around about a third. But if the Greens proposal, which they said before the election, which is up to $100 a tonne on carbon, well, your power bill could double. So look forward to that. Electricity prices are going to get more expensive.
Well, my view is if that happens, even if it goes up a third, the Labor government will be thrown out of office because that will make a lot of businesses uncompetitive. And, we've got very cheap electricity now because of the brown coal. And it gives us a competitive advantage in many areas, and I think it's just very, very wrong.
Yeah, if we throw that away. What's interesting also, if you look at the inflation figures, now everybody's worried about whether the Reserve Bank is going to increase interest rates because of increasing inflation or the risk of that. If you delve into the inflation figures, what you'll see is that the things that have gone up the most, which are things like water, electricity and gas, are all utilities that, to different extents in different parts of Australia, are controlled by state governments.
Yes.
So the reason prices are going up is not because of just a general movement of inflation, it's because governments are deciding to put them up. So you've got state governments putting up prices of things, and possibly now federal government putting up the price of electricity. And then not only do we pay for that, we also pay because interest rates will go up as well. So, the average punter, the average household is going to be doing it tough.
Very tough. And that, of course, if prices do go up, it's almost certain now that there's going to be an interest rate rise, isn't it?
Yeah, which just heaps more sort of insult upon misery because, of course, the same households that are paying more for their power and their gas and their water will also be paying more for their mortgages. And that will make a government unpopular.
Yep, I reckon they'll lose office. Righto, so much for that. We'll see what unfolds. It's going to be an interesting time in Parliament because we haven't seen this sort of a situation for 70 years. A hung Parliament, and it's going to be fun and games, I think, for many months to come. Now let's get back to the grand final, which I was there, you were there.
I was there.
I mean, there was just stunned silence after the draw. Nobody knew what to do, what to expect. I was sitting with Neil Danaher and Choco Williams, both champion players and both past coaches, And they said, oh no, the Norm Smith medal won't be given, and it was. Nobody quite understood anything.
And given to the wrong person.
And given to the wrong person. There's no doubt Goddard should have won the Norm Smith medal. He was easily best.
Actually, speaking of that, you see one of the many betting groups that allows betting on the AFL actually said the people who wagered on Goddard to win the Norm Smith get their money back because they thought he was such a worthy winner that they wouldn't keep bettors' money who bet on him, which I thought was a nice gesture.
Very decent, yeah. Very decent. But now, it's not the same height. There's no North Melbourne breakfast. There's no parade this Friday. But the AFL is going to make an extra, now I see in the press, 20 million. The MCC will make 4 to 5 million.
Channel 7 will make 15 million or something.
They'll make a lot. And then you've got all the hotels, the restaurants, the taxis, the whole infrastructure of Melbourne will get a major benefit from an extra game. So the AFL, you know, a lot of people arguing about whether or not they should just play an extra 5 minutes each way and conclude it. But I don't think the AFL will ever want to give up that sort of money, and therefore I think it'll stay as it is.
Well, statistics suggest you have a drawn grand final on average every 30 to 40 years. In fact, that's what we've had. We have one in 48, one in 77, now one in 2010. The AFL is almost unique amongst the world's footballing codes for not having its major final in the circumstance of a draw, having some way of sorting it out on the day. I tend to agree with you. I mean, we don't have to follow what other teams do. Look, it is a nightmare. Like my partner and I, we were going to auction her house this Saturday. Now I was thinking we've got to put it off a week because folklore says you never have an auction on grand final day. All sorts of people's travel plans have been upset. But these are the rules of the game. What's interesting, though, is that the AFL commissioners have had a roundtable discussion and meeting, we understand, this week, such that if we had a second draw this coming Saturday, they will go to 5 minutes each way extra time. So
that's correct.
10 minutes in total. So even though Dimitri, this is the head of the AFL, said he didn't want to make up new rules on the run, he did make up a new rule on the run when it came to doing that.
There's no doubt about that. But that was just common sense. You can't keep holding a grand final every week, can you?
Well, no. It's also interesting, the AFL Players Association is saying there's all these tens of millions of dollars of new money coming in, well, the players should get some. And I think the AFL is going to increase the bonus prize money for both teams this coming Saturday.
Well, they'll have to get a payment for the second game, I imagine.
Yeah, I think they're asking for a bit more than that. Are they? Nick Rewald actually said, look, there's no show without Punch, which is a reference to Punch and Judy, and he's sort of putting himself as one of the puppets out there. So, I'm sure they'd like some extra money.
Anyway, it'll be another big day, and of course it's affected the Turnbull Stakes, which is racing's big day at Flemington. They've had to move till Sunday. The soccer, the first derby was going to be held between the Hearts and the Victory. This weekend they've put it off a week, so it is affecting a lot of different people.
The World Road Cycling Championships. Interestingly, the women's road race was due to start in Federation Square on Saturday. I think that's actually going ahead, and as a result they're going to have the new rugby stadium or soccer stadium in Melbourne, Amy Park it's called. That's going to be set up as a place where supporters can go and watch the game on the big screen. Yeah. And also the Rugby League Grand Final on Sunday night. I mean, there will be a lot of corporates that might have had people at both events. This is probably not what the NRL would like to see, because they've traditionally had the week after the AFL Grand Final. It's been Rugby League's week, and now the message gets a bit confused, if you like, because the AFL is back on. But look, it's a great tradition. I only vaguely remember the 77 draw, but it's one that people talk about, and I'm glad that I was there in 2010.
Yeah, we were, and you want to save your footy record and all those things. They'll be.
I'm thinking about having my ticket. I think about having my ticket framed. I've got to check out whether 1977 tickets are actually worth something these days.
No, probably not.
No.
All right. Well, who do we think's going to win the grand final, Tom?
Well, for those of you who enjoy watching AFL, the fact is that in the last quarter and a half, St Kilda ran over the top of Collingwood. Collingwood thought they were going to win. And I think mentally St Kilda will have the edge. Obviously both sides physically are a match for each other. So I'm actually, as I did the previous week, I'm going to tip St Kilda.
I'm with you. I'm going to tip St Kilda because I hate Collingwood, and I think, as you said, St Kilda finished off well. And I don't think they'll be able to keep Rewald down like they did last week.
No.
Okay, thanks for looking at it all. We'll see you next week.